Namatu Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is a day one after the vaccination, and so far I'm still okay. So today is Wednesday the 13th, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday the 13th, May 2021. So good evening, Margaret. Good evening, Anish from Thailand. Good evening, Emma. So after this COVID-19, feeling the temperature all around and feeling like a lethargic and feeling very lazy and want to have rest. Your mind is not so clear, like the whole body is heat. So however, this whole day I've been very busy with a few meetings about the center, meetings with the Buddhist monks organization in the UK, and even teaching in America. So yes, Yvonne, it's Thursday. Thank you, Emma. I'm still fine, good. Yes, that's glad to know that you also felt a similar way. Good evening, Anish from Thailand. So yeah, like that. So it's over 24 hours and still surviving. I hope you are not annoyed to me coming online. Not bored yet. So right, okay, so today's topic is the second virtues or qualities of the Buddha, which is the sammasambuddha. Hello Yvonne, yes, thank you, and thank you very much for your sweet, that gives me strength. Jalan Pon, Yum. Thank you, Emma. Yes, Margaret, not that much, so it's good. Good, everything is fine. So far, fingers crossed that I will be fine for next day and then back to normal. So today's second topic, the virtue is sammasambuddha. If you've been following evening and morning chantings, you may have seen the chanting, the Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja Charana Sampanno Sugato Loka Viddo Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satha Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati. This is the chanting that we normally do every time when we are doing the chanting, and that basically reflecting and recollecting the virtues of the Buddha. And as we know that yesterday I was talking about Arahang, the first quality, and today is a sammasambuddha. Samma and a sambuddha, the three words coming together. This also comes when we pay respect and the preliminary homage. It's called a Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato, and then Samma Sambuddhassa. Yes, Yvonne, I hope that I will get the second vaccine as soon as possible. ต่อมาได้เลยนะ So yes, the sammasambuddha is the second qualities of the Buddha that is basically the combination of three words, samma and sam and buddho. So samma is basically means fully or righteous, and then sam means together or awake alone, and Buddha means the Buddha. So that basically means a perfectly, fully enlightened one. That the meaning is perfectly enlightened one. And here, when we talk about a perfectly enlightened one, basically means he has discovered a direct knowledge of what should be known by himself. And this is why it is also known as the Buddha didn't have a teacher to be the Buddha. Although we may come across with the two contemporary teachers that the Buddha went and learned the Dhamma, learned the meditation, as Alarakarama and Uddakadaputra, these two masters. From attending these two institutions, Buddha learned about the calming meditation up to the absorption, and a great absorption that if you passed away after that attainment of that absorptions, you will be reborn in a celestial heavens called the formless realms, the Brahma Loka, and that's the ability to be reborn in those states. And the Buddha learned from these two teachers. Anish, I got it AstraZeneca. So Emma is still waiting for the second one. Margaret saying that it took 9 weeks. Yeah. So possibly mine will also another 9 weeks. But anyway, okay. So that the Buddha was studying from these two very famous teachers up to the jhanas, and then after that he decided that the path that he was leading was not leading to the destructions or attainment of the liberation. So despite he was offered as a teacher in those institutions, he decided to go on and searching for this liberation, and which he went on practicing alone those austerities. It's like after have learned something, he went on investigating by himself. Margaret is saying that he had AstraZeneca as well, but there is no side effects at all. So Margaret must have a very good health. So that's why you don't have any side effects. Well done, very good. So, and then the Buddha after that went on practicing by alone himself, and meanwhile we do come across the teachings saying that other 5 ascetics came and joined with him, and while he was practicing austerity, these 5 friends were looking after. And from there we can see that the Buddha, how austere practice he was taking on board, that he became even so slim that it says that he could touch his backbone from his belly. And this is such a great austerity that he practiced. For us, 20 minutes or 30 minutes also very hard. Don't talk about the 1 hour. It's very difficult to spare. So, but he was practicing really, really hard, it's like a hardcore, and he even didn't eat for some times and became so thin, and eventually he realized that this is not the path again. So that's how he decided to go on and practicing in a so-called a middle path. And after practicing that middle path, and he was able to understand the past, the future, and the present moment. And that's how he was able to eradicate all the tents, all the asavas, all the defilements, and that's how he became the Buddha. So that basically means he fully understood the all the obstructions that is obstructing him to be the Buddha or to be enlightened, and that's the fully understanding is basically means the Four Noble Truth. And then he was able to understand that things needs to be abandoned. He was able to abandon. And this is the case that most of the time we do understand in our life that certain things are causing a trouble and certain things are really troublesome, that which is making us to be mentally not happy, mentally stressed, and also life become a very miserable, yet we haven't understood it properly, and as a result of that we are hanging on to it. And by hanging on to it, then basically all the stress and anxiety and trouble we are taking on. And furthermore, people will be taking a refuge on drugs and alcohols too. So that's why we have to understand that what we are going through is really painful and really not good. And then the second factor is the abandoning it, abandoning, and that this needs to be abandoned or this needs to be eliminated. So once we have fully able to eliminate, then basically we realize the true nature and then developing along the path. And when we are walking on the path, and eventually we will be able to attain this the enlightenment, and that's how one is known as sammasambuddha. And here sammasambuddha is also known as a person or the Buddha who is capable of teaching others too, teaching others, other beings. As I have replied, and I have said previously in my talks, that there are three different types of the attainment of liberation. One is known as the sammasambuddha, who has got the great capability of attainment of himself and also ability to help others to be enlightened. Help others to be enlightened. So that is the sammasambuddha. And then the second one is called a pacceka Buddha, which is again an ability to be enlightened but unable to teach, and that is the second one. Excuse me, the battery is running out. Let me charge it. Okay. Right, so the second type of the Buddha is known as the pacceka Buddha, one who has studied and liberated himself but unable to teach others. And the third is called the Savaka Buddhas, means basically someone who has studied the teachings of the Buddha and followed the instructions and then liberated by himself or liberated. So that's why it's called a follower Buddha. And here the enlightened one, who fully enlightened, basically means the sammasambuddha, who was able to teach others. So developing or freeing himself from all the tents and all the asavas, and this is also known as the attainment of a liberation. Attainment of a liberation. And this is because of the liberation in the scripture. It does record so many examples that even just having heard that there is the sammasambuddha has arisen in the world, and having heard that simple word, people felt so pleased, and people felt so happy, and people feel so joy, and even wanted to see him. Yeah, and a different in the future. Like there is a case of the Sariputta, who was the right hand side of the Buddha. The very moment when he heard the teachings from the Buddha's disciple about the conditionality, and then that moment, even just the hearing that the Sariputta was attained enlightened stream enterer, and after that when he went to speak with the Sanjaya Belatabutta, the Sanjaya who was the teacher or master of Sariputta, when he told him, he immediately realized that this person is not a normal person. He is a sammasambuddha, but he had a pride that he didn't want to go, but he maintained his conceit and pride, so he stayed. Similarly, there are other examples like the Anathapindika, the millionaire who was visiting another city, Rajagaha, and then when he was visiting his friend on his tour to the business tour in Rajagaha, when he heard that people of Rajagaha is traveling to see the Buddha and listening to talks, he couldn't sleep, because he told his friend that he would like to see the Buddha. And after that, his friend told him that, okay, tomorrow morning we will go to see the Buddha, sammasambuddha. And then with that thought, he was not able to sleep. His mind was so much engraved in a thought of veneration to the Buddha, the sammasambuddha, and he couldn't sleep. And as a result of that, having understood that the early morning the Buddha will be practicing a walking meditation, so he left his dormitory and went to see the Buddha in the forest. In a similar way, there are other stories that even just hearing the word that sammasambuddha has arisen in the world, they gain such a great faith and a confidence and decided to go to see him and get some advice and get some information so that they can practice the Dhamma. And so that's why sometimes people say that Buddha didn't have a teacher. Actually, he did have a teacher initially, but later he didn't have, and he went on his own way and practicing under his own way, under his own knowledge and understanding, and eventually he was able to be enlightened. It's like probably that is the reason why Buddhism starts with the pariyatti, the education, and learning things, learning information about what is the guides and what is the instructions are. And after you have studied and after learn, you need to put it into practice, investigating a thorough investigation on those teachings, which gives you the confidence, and that confidence become faith, as I have said previously. And with that, the knowledge that you gain will be the true knowledge. In a reality, the fact is only truth or untrue. There shouldn't be in the middle that, or maybe or may not be. The truth is truth, or not truth is not truth. So that Buddha was saying that after anyone who is walking on the path, on the right path, and investigating it properly, and eventually he will be or she will be attaining the Nibbana for sure. So that's why on the basis of that, probably Buddha developed this way of a learning system, that first you have to learn by reading, by listening, and the second, whatever you have learned or read, investigate, thinking about it, pondering about it. And it's not just about the pondering, but you have to put it into practice. And once you have a practice, the result comes is the true knowledge. It's like you are going to the lab. A science student will go to the lab and will be following all the instructions that is given, and then following that instructions, he or she will be experimenting using those bottles and those cannons and those pipes, and then after spending significant amount of a time testing, after again the conclusion comes will be the result, and which is the true knowledge, and which will be universal. Yeah? So that's the same way with the Buddha's teachings, that once we have read, or once we have studied, or once we have listened, we have to think about it, whether is it the beneficial or not, whether is it the appropriate or not, whether it is conducive or reality or not, or real or not. And as we are paying attention to it, whether that is we are fully absorbed in it or not, are we giving a full undivided attention or not. And with that, we basically becomes a knower. And from your own perspective, from your own experience, you can also tell to yourself that before you didn't know anything about meditation, you didn't know anything about the breath, about your emotions, about your feelings, even about your body. But after the practice of a meditation, not just the listening, but also investigating and you're practicing and doing it, eventually you have understood that what's going on and in your body, and you become more aware of your body, your sensations, your feelings, and no need to ask someone to explain about it. You have realized it, you have investigated it, you have understood it, and just the matter is the development, that how much you are developing that understanding. And eventually that understanding will take you to the complete knowledge, and that's called the sammasambuddha, the self-awakening, self-understanding, the rightness, the trueness, and with that the fully able to free yourself from all the distractions or obstructions or the kilesas, and attaining the complete liberation. So that is the second quality that we have to think of, and we have to remember of them whenever we are paying respect to the Buddha, and we are reflecting that the Buddha, he was such a great person who read and who studied so much, and meanwhile he investigated by himself, putting into practice, and then come out from those miseries and become happier. And also he didn't keep for himself, but also spare and share it to others as well. And with that he is well respected as the sammasambuddha. And this is again the title to someone who has fully accomplished, fully understood, or perfectly enlightened one, fully enlightened one. So that is the sammasambuddha. So I end here for the second virtue of the Buddha, a recollection on the virtues of the Buddha. So with this, may you all be well and happy. In a few moments time we are going to have evening chanting. You are most welcome to join with us. So may you all be well and happy. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. Until then, good night, and see you shortly. Sadhu.